Good afternoon once again, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Greynier Fuentes, and I'm the VP of Digital Solutions at VeriTran. And today, we're going to be talking about low code. We're launching our low code stories, the series, and we'll be reviewing chapter 1, which is based on our book written by Jason Bloomberg, titled Low Code for Dummies. The idea today is to go over some of the and eliminating some of that confusion around the low code terminology, as it can get carried away easily, and many people are confused on what it is, what it's supposed to accomplish, and so on. So today we'll be reviewing, what is low code, some of the a couple of ways that we can use a platform like our very own low code platform to build applications. We'll do a comparison of what is low code versus no code, and then we'll go over some of the benefits. The idea is to summarize chapter 1 of our book, and then at the end we'll open it up for questions, and we'll put up a link for everybody to download a copy of our electronic version of the book, so you can go ahead and read up on it and stay ahead as we move on to the rest of the chapters in this series. To get started, I like to start with a quote from Jason Bloomberg, who wrote our book Low Code for Dummies. And he said, every piece of software, every application on this planet was written by hand, one line at a time by a human being. This is true, and there's simply no way for people to keep up. There aren't enough software developers in the world to meet the ever-increasing demand for coders. And the problem, it's only getting worse. Every day, more and more software it's expected from companies, and there's simply a certain amount of people in the world that know how to code. So we needed to build a better way to write software more quickly and leverage the expertise of technical and business-oriented people to create the applications that run our digital world today, which again keeps on increasing and increasing. Now, the good thing is that we have an answer for that. We have platforms and tools that empower people and individuals to build better applications with very little or no hand coding at all, which usually results in better and faster software. And the answer for that is low code. So let's go ahead and jump into what is low code. We hear the low code movement, low code platforms, and there's a lot of tools out there that get branded as low code, but they don't necessarily are low code. And then the first thing that I want to get out there is that low code is not a new terminology. In fact, low code comes all the way back from the 70s, 80s, and 90s when 4GL, which is fourth generation programming language, and RID were used. But at the time, the technology wasn't up to where it is today, and low code meant a little bit, something a little bit different than what it is today. Definitely technology has leaped forward big time, and now low code can provide additional benefits. So to simply put it in perspective, and so we get the base on what low code is, let's get started by saying low code, basic definition, is a software or a platform that provides a development environment used to create applications, software through a graphical user interface and configuration, instead of the traditional method, which is hand coding. All right, you can put it so let's just you can put it as creating your own software without writing a line of code. Usually the developers, some developers don't like low code because obviously they don't have to hand code as much or at all, depending on the application that they're trying to develop. But if you run into great developers worth of bringing into the company, they're more focused on the value on the application that they create, the value that the application they create provides to the user, than the process of creating it. So they see low code as a great tool to speed up and unleash their full potential. All right. So with that, I mean, again, very basic, simply a tool to write, to build application by dragging and dropping functionality into a screen, getting a preview, and you know, the platform checks for possible errors, better software, easier to build, and less vulnerable because of all the security aspects of developing an application, and all the repetitive tasks of creating an applications are taken care of for you by the platform. So let's go ahead and review a couple of methods on building an application on a low-code platform. In this case, our very own VeriTran low-code platform. So let's look at a typical process of building an application from scratch. We're starting from zero within the low-code environment. As you can see, nowhere in here we have to download any tools. We don't have to set up an environment, make sure we have all the proper software to compile. We don't have to do any of that. We simply create the context of the application within the visual environment tool. In our case, there are different low codes out there. In our case, it's all web-based. You don't have to download any piece of software to be able to create. You simply browse to the platform, log in, and you're ready to start building your application. So let's look at the typical 9-step process that we go through in our low code when building an application completely from scratch, from zero. We create the context of this application. Then once we have that, we go in and then we have our teams collaborate. Now we can collaborate between technical and non-technical people. We can have our UX, UI team involved in the process, and we can have you know, developers and operations all within the platform collaborating and building this product without having to write a single line of code, or very little if needed, because low code does give you the ability to write some code if you need to. All right. So we go on to step 2 here, and we create the theme with the styles to define the global look and feel of the application that we can apply to the different screens. Then we go on into create the layouts for the screens. I want the header section to be this wide, the main content area and the footer, or to not have a footer at all. You pretty much tell the application how to behave. In the case of a web application, you know, you can define the size and all those things as well. Then we move on to creating the side views. We apply the resources, and then we build the screens, the actual screens that will be shown to the end user that will be taking advantage of this application. Then after that, we connect to backend services, and we'll talk about some of the benefits of low code, and I'll get a little bit deeper into that. We connect to whatever backend service we need to get some data from in order to give purpose to the application. We'll build a set of transactions, and we'll match them to behind the scenes to every screen, to every process that we build on the next step. And then we simply review that application once we like what we see on the screen and all the processes. Again, the platform has the functionality of checking for errors if you're missing things that are not supposed to go, or things that you're missing for others to work, and independency and so on. The platform will do those checks for that particular developer and advise on how to fix them. And then we can go on and generate and publish that application to the world, whether that is a web application or a mobile version to the digital stores, the App Store or the Google Play Store. All right, fair enough. Let's go ahead and take a look at our second way of building applications within our low code, and in general when using low code tools, building from a template with low code. So while building one application from scratch is significantly faster than hand coding an application, now the template will take it to the next level. We're talking about usually what we can do from scratch, it's usually 10 times faster than hand coding. Building from a template, it could be 20, 30 times, 50 times faster than building hand coding, provided that all the functionality that is packaged in this template meets your requirement. There's always room for customization because that's the beauty of low code, right? So much simpler process. In fact, instead of 9 steps, we have only 4 steps, and one of those is actually running the application on the mobile device in this case. So to get started from a template, we simply subscribe to an application template on the marketplace. We bring it into our studio, which is our visual environment to develop and configure applications. We edit the subscribed app template. We customize it. We move things around. We add functionality. We remove functionality that we don't want from that template, and so on. Once we like what we see, we simply generate and publish that application. So it generates again. In the case of a mobile application, simply we have our VeriTran Go app that's running on the mobile devices that you can test the configuration. But in the case of production, besides the test application, so you can see what the end product is gonna run like in real life, we can also again generate the DLLs for the app stores, the Apple one and the Google Play, as well for the web, ready for a web server. So as you can see, very, very simple, whether you're building from scratch or from a template. It can speed up significantly the time that it takes to get an application from nothing to running on a mobile device or on a web browser. And we'll be covering that, and we'll actually be seeing that live during the last chapter, which will be the 5th chapter, which we'll be performing in December. We'll be advising of those dates. So stay tuned for the whole series. And at the end, you'll see how we can build an application live using our own low-code platform. And we'll do a combination of a template with we'll start from scratch, and then we'll start bringing in templates, because not only we have application templates on the marketplace, we also have feature templates and components and services that we can just bring into our existing applications and keep on adding value and generating new functionality. So with that, let's go ahead and talk about low-code platform versus no-code platforms. This is often confusing for people because no-code platform means that you don't write any single line of code. At least that's what the name implies, and in fact, it's true. You don't have to write a single line of code, as opposed to low-code, where you do have the capability of writing some code, if you prefer. Or many of the things that you can accomplish by dragging and dropping to speed up things, you can also do by coding them, depending on the platform, of course, and the flexibility that they provide. But basically, no-code solutions are more, geared towards the business users, or as you may hear in the industry, they're called citizen developers. They're people who do not have any technical skills or very little technical skills, and no-code platforms are a great fit for them, because it's usually for internal purposes what they're building, and they don't require a lot of support or any support at all from their internal technical team. Now, the downside to that is that it may encourage the creation of shadow IT, which is the situation where people are developing apps without the proper supervision by the IT department, and this can lead to to security concerns, compliance issues, integration, and usually users end up using more resources than necessary. And at worst, it can turn even the internal users away, and there you go, time wasted. Now, low-code, on the other hand, it's designed to serve both the business users and professional developers alike. For business users, Creating that useful and thoughtful design apps under the experience guidance of technical people, and extending the capabilities and the bandwidth to control governance and so on. And then for professional developers, the ability to to work faster and more efficient by using a visual-based model, as opposed to having to hand code everything as needed. And then it becomes a repetitive process. You cannot reuse things when you're hand coding. You have to do it again and over again. And the example that gets used all the time. How many times have you seen the login functionality developed? Millions of times. Now with low code, that becomes a template, and all you have to do is just drag and drop, right? So there you have it. Low-code platforms, very flexible, more gears to the professional and business users to collaborate. You get the flexibility of drag and drop functionality, where you don't have to write a single line of code, or you could if you needed to. Now, no-code platforms, you're stuck to whatever it was pre-packaged for you. Specific functionalities, very little customization, at least on the functionality or the logic of that particular object. It is limited to what it was programmed to do by another developer. So you get whatever that functionality is in that little package, and no way to customize it. Now let's go over some of the benefits of low code, because obviously it has a lot of benefits. And in fact, John Reimer of Forrester once wrote that low code offers software developers the ability to work 10 times faster as opposed to hand coding. So definitely the speed there, it's key. With low code, you can develop what usually takes months and years. You can develop it in a week or month if it's a year project, right? Definitely quality. When we talk about writing software, there are a lot of things that go into consideration if you're hand coding. You have to keep up with how you're going to handle the security of that application. Make sure that the code is it's written according to a specific standard. Companies use different standards and methods. So you have to watch out for those type of things. You have to watch out for mistakes when connecting a process to another. Now, low code eliminates all of that. Usually, it helps avoiding all of those mistakes that usually, end up being on errors, or even worse, it could become a security vulnerability, and your application could get exposed, and furthermore, your customer data or that target customer. So that's a big no for the end user when they know that their information has been exposed. So most likely they'll turn away. Another benefit, definitely decreased cost. With the ability on the promise of low code that it's easier and faster to build, obviously more applications are being able to get created in less amount of time. So therefore the cost will come down in there. Definitely a better UX, and this is a key part over here, because now the UI is more functional. So what the user, when developing the application or the web application, in this case, instead of looking at code and then testing of what it's going to look like, they're actually looking at the app user experience. Every time they're building a functionality, they're actually, because they're getting, and you'll see this live on the last chapter of the series, where everything that gets dragged to the screen automatically becomes a preview of exactly how it's going to act and behave in the real world on the device that they're being created for, right? So definitely, and this is the part where low code comes in handy, because the developer can use all of that energy that he saved from not having to watch for the security aspects of the application, or repeating the same line of code and making sure that that is good on every location that it was placed. And all of those, then the developer can use all of those resources and focus on the 10% that really matters of the application, which is that user experience that for the end user. And as one of my colleague, Omar, says, users these days, they don't compare institutions or companies, they compare experiences. So this is big on low code, and it's something that low code is great at providing that great user experience. Definitely agility. You know, at enterprises, big enterprises usually have a hard time adapting and responding to market changes, right? So new technologies come in, new opportunities. So they really have a hard time being able to innovate, because by the time they release a new functionality, it's already been out for a while now, so it's no longer innovative. So they're stuck, you know, running behind the wheel and trying to get software out there. Not anymore. Low code allows them, again, we'll show that live, how we can quickly change, add, remove functionality using low code, right? Because low code also promises that continuous integration, continuous deployment, which it means you're able to deliver new functionality as they come in, and you're able to publish them out without having the end user to have to do anything. It is transparent to them. They automatically get this new functionality as they're being developed through the low-code platform and pushed out to all of those devices where they were downloaded first. So definitely, for a business to be able to adapt and respond quickly to changes, it is a great plus, and low-code can deliver on that promise. And finally, another key benefit here that we've highlighted for low-code is legacy integration, being able to integrate to legacy systems. Institutions have legacy systems that they've had for years now. So it's very hard for them to migrate and to move to a newer system that's more flexible and extensible, right? So low code can come in and integrate to that legacy system, whatever that is, you know, without having to have a specialist or, you know, expensive subcontractors. They can come in and integrate to that legacy system, and facing the customer, they can deliver on that experience, on that great value of their products and services while connected to the legacy system until it is time to replace it and so on. So definitely another great benefit of low code. All right, and with that, we're right at about 5 minutes from our promised time. I want to thank everyone for joining, and with that, I will open it up to questions. Please use the Q&A session, and I'll be happy to answer some of the questions for you guys. And while you are putting the questions, I want to highlight our chapter 2 of this series will be on September 23rd, at the same time, 1 p.m. Eastern time, where we'll be talking about the low-code key inputs. What's driving low-code for business? You know, the potential of low-code, how it is simplifying work for the professional developers, and how we're able to keep up with the existing applications and be able to extend them and make sure that they continue to deliver on that promise, on that great experience, and you know, to deliver the products and services. All right, so mark your calendars for this. And I'll lift this up. This is our Low Code for Dummies book. Like I mentioned at the beginning, authored by Jason Bloomberg. And we're actually covering the 5 chapters on this book in each of these webinars. So feel free to go ahead and scan it, and we'll also put the information on the chat window. And feel free to scan that and get yourself the digital copy, and skip ahead and get all the details on low code. All right, with that, let me check on some of the questions, if there are any. I think we have 3 questions over here. Let me just pull up the Q&A here. Now, the first question that I have while you guys have the low code QR code to scan it, is low code here to replace the role of professional developer? And the answer is no, the complete opposite. Low code is here to take advantage of the developer's potential, getting that developer to be able to build 10 times faster. As I mentioned before, is being able to get the focus of that developer out of the repetitive tasks and focusing on the value that they're going to deliver with whatever it is that they're building. All right. I have another question here. As a low-code vendor, do you use your own platform internally? And yes, of course. That's we deliver on that promise. That low code offers the speed, security, easier to build platform. So we definitely use our own platform to build our solutions. So that is definitely a yes. And if we don't, then we're not the right vendor. If you run to a vendor that doesn't use their own product, you're on the wrong vendor. So we do use our own platform for everything we do internally, our web applications, our mobile applications, and so on, even internal portals and applications. And then the last question I have here, I had 3 questions. I don't know if I have more. Let me check on the chat here. So the last question is how to choose the right platform or local platform. I'm assuming here. Well, there are different type of local platforms. Not all of them are created equal. Some have a very specific focus, while the others let you create a wide variety of enterprise applications. Some of them are great at building mobile applications. Others focus on workflow-centric applications, and some others, they're more data related. So you should. I guess to answer that question properly, you should understand the problems your application or web application is trying to address before selecting the right tool, or select a tool like VeriTran, which allows you to develop for any of the categories, and for any platform. Okay, with that, I want to thank everyone for joining. I really appreciate your time today. My contact information, as well as our webinars page to register for the upcoming webinars, has been put on the chat window there. Feel free to contact me with any other specific questions, and I'll be happy to answer them. As always, thank you once again, and have a great afternoon, everyone.